These are stories of outdoor adventure and expert advice from folks with calloused hands. I'm James Nash, and this is the Six Ranch Podcast. Do you know what item Walmart sells the most of?
Bagged lemons.
It is a food that's yellow.
Cheese Whiz.
Bananas.
Bananas.
Yeah, their highest selling item.
I did know that Walmart's leading the way in groceries.
Something like 10% of U.S. beef sold through Walmart and Sam's Club.
Yeah, I think that's correct. I mean, when Amazon bought Whole Foods, that was in large part to try to outcompete Walmart. Like, Walmart tried to do the online sales when Amazon first came on. They're like, oh yeah, we can compete with this. We'll do next day delivery online stuff. And they just got wiped out immediately. But that's when they expanded all of their grocery stores. And Amazon's next move was to buy Whole Foods. But Walmart's still winning.
Yeah.
Most of our grocery sales are through Walmart still.
Interesting. I've bought some good steaks there.
I have walked inside of a Walmart twice in the last 5 years. Never bought I bought groceries that one time.
Yeah.
One of the 2 times in the last 5 years. I just, so I don't, honestly, so I couldn't say what their quality or my familiarity.
Now, obviously, like buying local, supporting local is much more for you than virtue signaling. It's about supporting that portion of the economy and also the quality of the food that you're getting, and not just food, but products in general.
It is, yeah. It really isn't something that I am doing to try to prove a point or make a scene about, but I just genuinely believe in it. And it comes back to almost a selfish place. You know, we're trying to survive on a multi-generation, fairly small ranch. And in order to do that, we really need people to pay a lot and go out of their way to buy products. And so I want to do that for other people. And most of those people are my friends.
Yeah.
It's really fun to call or text them and say, what do you have right now?
I have thought about like the size of our ranch a fair bit recently, and it's really interesting. It's interesting the way it evolves, because there's still places on this ranch that I haven't stood.
You think so?
Yeah, because I just found one the other day.
Okay.
When Colonel Mustard fell off a cliff and I had to go the way that I didn't want to go. My poor 3-legged lab. I was setting a game camera up to try to see if there's a cougar around, which people had said that there was, but still haven't gotten a picture of it. Anyways, went across the steep hillside, and poor 3-legged Colonel Mustard went to the bottom. So then I had to go down there with him. And I was like, yeah, I've never been right here before. This is interesting.
That's fair.
Anyways, what I was thinking about is if there was a race, if there was a foot race that went around the border of this ranch, you would need an absolute tier 1 athlete to be able to complete that.
Yes.
Like that would be its own brand of a cross-country style race.
Yeah.
And anybody who ran that would be smoked.
And there's a swimming portion.
A couple of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Rock climbing. Like it'd be
rough.
A legit race.
Yeah. And that is an interesting way to think about size. And I think depending on what part of the country or what part of the world you're in, a big ranch or a small piece of property or a big piece of property changes drastically.
Yeah. Even just walking across it in a day.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're wrecked. How many miles of fence do you think we have?
Oof. I mean, too many.
Like 30?
Too many miles. At least.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking 60. So when you put in all the internal fences, if you stretched them all the way out straight, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a beast.
It is a beast.
Fences are rough. Okay, back to food. I feel like hunters have been thinking about hunting in the wrong order. This is something that's been weighing on me.
Okay.
I believe that when people think about hunting, they probably think about the equipment, gear, and skills and knowledge required to go do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then they think about the adventure itself, like try and find the critter, get close enough by whatever mechanism. And they spend a lot of time thinking about the shot. They spend very little time thinking about field dressing. A lot of them don't meat process anymore. Mm-hmm. A lot of the East Coasters don't even field dress anymore. They bring their animals in whole, guts in, and throw it
Really?
inside of a walk-in cooler. Yeah.
Doesn't keeping the guts in affect the meat?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a bonkers. And then maybe least of all, they're thinking about preserving that meat, how to do that the best, and then actually cooking, plating, and serving it. So if we thought about that in reverse order, with maybe first thinking about the nutritional quality of it, then the experience of eating it as like the primary goal.
Yeah.
And then we figured out what we needed to do to make that the highest quality experience possible, like the best eating experience, the best nutritional experience. Like this is what it's really, truly about.
Yeah. So if you were looking at animals, like we used to do livestock judging, right? So if you were out there scouting for animals and you start looking at them based on hindquarters, conformation, and you did a little, I placed this bull elk above this one for its backstrap and all that, then I think, I'm not a hunter, so I automatically think about those things in reverse. Like, the last thing I would think of is probably the gear and what I need to be able to survive this mission.
Yeah.
The first thing I'm going to think about is I always want my freezer full of a younger animal, not a super young one, but a younger animal that has the best health, that's coming ideally from a season where there's abundance still of sweet grasses.
Which is when?
It depends. I mean, this year we had such a mild fall and all that. We had rainfall and we had warmth. And so actually, I bet a bunch of this fall game was really good. There was all that green, tender grass that came up and the bunch grass was still soft. Like, they were killing it.
Yeah. We had a dreadful spring.
Yeah.
And probably the best fall green up that anybody alive can remember.
Absolutely. I mean, the canyons look like Ireland.
Yeah.
In December.
Right.
So yeah, I would think it depends on the year, but if it's a really dry fall and a really dry summer, they're working really hard to get nutrition, and that meat's going to be tougher. Which then it's okay. But then you've got to look at maybe making more jerky, maybe adding a little more fat to your burger grind. And you're going to have all those cuts are going to be a little leaner and tighter grained.
Yeah. I think also their access to clean water. Not only
that's true too.
Not only clean water, but water that they can get to without being really stressed out that they're going to get killed there. Like those stress hormones, you just can't overstate the role that plays in meat quality. So if you have an animal that is more hydrated and is relaxed when they're going to water sources, they can maybe go more frequently. That's going to have a major effect on meat quality as well.
Definitely. Yeah. You can taste that in the flavor of meat. But I also think about the grain on meat a lot. So like,
what do you mean by grain?
Grain, like
like wheat?
No.
Quinoa?
No, stop it. The texture. So when you're looking at a piece of meat and those little slits,
the muscle fibers.
Yep.
Yep.
Those make a huge difference in how that meat's going to taste after you season it. So when you think about like a tenderloin that has a pretty tight grain and smooth around the outside, I really don't like when people put dry rubs on those because the herbs and peppers and things they don't have a place to hide or be protected at all. And so then when you sear it, they all get burned. Right. So
should we be scoring those tenderloins?
Yes. Yes.
And how do you do that?
Just with the tip of your knife, you just go along and make
the tip of my knife.
The tip of your knife. Yeah.
So for Christmas this year, my darling little sister gave me my own hat from El Dorado Outfitters that she'd stolen, as well as my own Damascus chef knife, which I've been looking for months and just quietly mad about for months. It's like, how did I lose a chef's knife? Because sometimes I'll pull a knife out to like put in a tool roll if I'm going to be doing some type of cooking out in the field or like in my truck or something like that. But this is not one of those knives.
No, it's a really nice knife.
I did talk to Paul at El Dorado, and I sent him a little video, and I was like, check out what my little sister gave me for Christmas. And it was a hat from his outfitting service, and he loved it. He is going to send you a hat.
Aww.
I said that you don't deserve it.
I don't. And honestly, the joy of giving you your stuff back wrapped up for Christmas really was the magic of the morning.
Yeah, that's nice.
I used to do that when we were kids. I remember wrapping up books and fishing lures that I found underneath my bed that were yours. And then I'd wrap them and give them to you, but with like sincerity, like, you know, this is something you like and I can give this to you. And I don't remember it being brought up that I had stolen them first, but I did remember it this year, and I stole that knife, I believe, in July.
That tracks.
And so just know that the gift you gave me was a solid 6 months of pure delight, knowing that you were low-key frustrated, but not enough to bring it up or question me all the way until Christmas morning when I got to give it back to you.
It was also a lot duller than when it left.
That is probably also true because I did use it a lot.
All right, we're leaving this one behind.
All right.
So
Merry Christmas.
Scoring, what does that look like?
So scoring, you're just mimicking a pattern of meat. So things that...
Do you score both like
that's a good point.
Parallel and perpendicular to the grain?
Nope. You can make little X's. I save that for things like potatoes and squash and that type of thing for meat. I'm just going one direction. So I'm just making little scores all the same direction.
Cross grain?
Nope. Same way as the grain, so that when you slice cross grain, you're also slicing across those little
Interesting.
scores.
I think a lot of people are getting that wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Cool.
my mode.
So that helps give your herbs a place to not get burned.
Exactly. So I think a lot of people are thinking of it as you're infusing that chunk of meat. But for the most part, salt is the only thing that's going to get in there.
Right.
Scientifically. So everything else, you need to think about how it's going to be treated. So dry herbs, especially, they need a little bit of oil, or they need fat from the meat, or they just even having the juice and barrier of that meat to keep them, you want them to almost get steamed, right? Not burnt. And with your spices, some of them do really well getting burnt, but most of the time only if they have a sugar content to them, right?
And like garlic is lovely on wild game meat.
Yes.
Burned garlic, it's pretty bitter.
It's really bitter, right? But you want to get it almost burnt, right? It can get really dark brown, and especially if it's got some oil or like vinegar or lemon, something again to protect it from getting all the way burnt, will do a lot better.
Talk to me about the fundamentals of sort of flavor theory with like that salt, fat, acid, heat thing.
Yeah, I think it's funny because it really is that simple, right? Anything you're making, if you can incorporate salt, acid, fat, heat, you're there, and it's just balancing those things out. And so if you can play with that method. So if something's too salty, a lot of times you can just add more fat. If something feels too acidic, try balancing your salt and your fat back out. And
what are some examples of acid?
Anything that's high in acid is that thing that makes your mouth it doesn't burn, but it's if you eat too much of it, then your mouth's going to be tender, right? So
like Captain Crunch.
not that. But no, it's lemons, vinegar, tomatoes, anything that would ruin a cast iron pan is high in acid.
Gotcha. Okay.
So another important thing to know about acid is when to add it in the cooking process, because it can keep things from getting tender if added at the wrong time. So acid either needs a long time to sit with a piece of meat, or it needs to be added right at the end.
Similar to salt.
Similar to salt.
Talk to me about when to salt.
Yeah. So salt is the same way. Because what happens when you salt a piece of meat is that salt or eggs or anything like that, it's going to first kind of circle around the protein, right? And then it's going to start drawing moisture out first. And then that moisture will get sucked back into the meat, and that's when the salt goes all the way in. So if you salt with not enough time, like if you salt, let's say 10 minutes before you cook a piece of meat, all that salt did, you can see the salt turn bright red, right? It's still sitting on the outside of your meat and it turns bright red. Essentially, you just sucked all this moisture out of the meat, and then that salt's just going to be in the inside of your pan. And that's when like you see all the meat juice get on your pan or on a grill, and it bubbles and it steams that piece of meat. That's not what you want. So instead, you can salt 2 days ahead of time, right? And I don't have a preference to a wet brine or a dry brine. Just know it needs to happen at least 12 hours. I think 18 is really good. The other option is right before. So like with burger patties, I don't add any salt into the burger mixture. Instead, I make the patty And then right before I grill it, it gets a generous amount of salt.
What kind of salt?
For that, I really like Diamond salt. It comes in that big red box.
Is it coarse?
It's not. It's flaky.
Flaky.
So it's...
So like kosher salt.
Yep.
Yeah. I feel like I could only have kosher salt and be fine.
I think you could.
Yeah.
You absolutely
Like
could.
if you have one salt, that's
Yeah.
the salt.
Yep. I totally agree. And
Iodized table salt, really, I'm not into it.
I'm not into it
I'm
either.
over it.
Yeah. I don't need it.
Mm-mm.
Just don't need it. And I also don't like salt shakers. I'm an anti-shaker person. I think you need to be able to see how much salt you're putting out there.
Yeah.
You need to be able to grab it like it's a pinch of salt, right? Not a shake of salt. Yeah. Plus, I just feel like the steam always ends up getting into your shaker, and
yeah,
don't like a shaker. Don't like the table salt.
I understand why, but I am not fond of the humid places where they put rice in with the salt shaker. So then it just looks like there's maggots in there.
It does look like maggots.
It looks like maggots. Dare I say, could sometimes be.
Maybe.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. Yeah.
I'm not going to make it very long.
I don't stare at it, though, to know. I don't need to know.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you could just put a little dish of a bigger grained salt on the table.
There's also some interesting levels to the pepper game.
Yeah.
Pepper slept on.
Pepper slept on, I think, mostly because we are only familiar with very stale black pepper, which is not the best of the peppers.
Talk to me about pepper. School me up.
Well,
especially as it pertains to meat, like whatever peppering you're doing for your kale, like I don't care about that. I'm gonna be real honest with you.
I already know this, but
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think when I'm trying to really get a black pepper flavor across, then I'm going to use nice peppercorns and grind them up right before and use them as a finishing season. That's not true. I sometimes put them in sauces too, but for the most part, I mean, that's true about a lot of spices, is if you can get them in the whole variety and then break them apart right before you use them, that's when you're going to get the most out of them. But like black pepper, if you use a black peppercorn and, you know, grind that up with either a spice grinder, a mortar and pestle, whatever, a rock, right before, it has this like floral.
Yeah, it's aromatic.
Yeah, it's got acidity in there, and it's got a spice, but not hot. And I think a lot of us grew up with either cayenne, like powdered cayenne, especially when it's 40 years old. Stuff's not good. It just kind of hurts a little bit, you know, and you're like, oh, this is spicy. But there's, you know, thousands of different peppers that you can dry and grind up and use as a spice. And that's paprika, that's white peppers used a ton in French cooking. I don't see that used a lot in American.
I think having those pepper layers on meat is incredible.
Yeah.
I haven't messed with green a lot, but if you mix in some really fine white pepper with some coarse black pepper, you'll get some fascinating flavored layers and just like this sort of complex warmth that is really, really cool.
Yeah. Warmth is a great way to describe it rather than heat. But our friends at Hayshaker Farm in Walla Walla, they're growing so many different peppers, and they dry them at the end of the season and make these different spices, and they're sold in pretty small quantities. But I have loved using them all year. They have habanada is one of my favorite, which was a habanero pepper.
Pass.
No. Bread with a sweet Italian pepper. And so it has this like you think it's going to be hot. It has a pepper flavor, and then it's mild and sweet at the end. It never bites you. It's delicious.
We'll see about that.
I've used it in stuff I've made for you.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, then it gets a pass.
It's almost like paprika.
Yeah.
Right? Which is pepper.
Bell peppers.
It's bell peppers.
I think a lot of people don't know that.
I was very upset. Fun fact.
I was upset when I learned.
I was too. I actually thought paprika for a very long time. I assumed that was a seed.
Mm-hmm.
And I assumed it was like a very exclusively grown somewhere seed, right? Like paprika is like, I don't know, the same as saffron or poppy or something. You know, it's like, ooh, paprika. It's like, that's a dried up bell pepper. Great marketing.
Mm. I am curious about where our poppy seeds come from and how much connection there is between the poppy seeds that we get in the store and poppy that's grown illegally to produce heroin. Because I bet there's an overlap in there somewhere.
I'm sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never looked into it.
Hopefully Big Poppy doesn't come after me now.
Ooh. Big Poppy.
When we're talking about seasoning, we're generally talking about salt.
You might be.
Well, if I made something and you said, did you season that? You probably meant, did I put salt on it? Is that fair?
It's not what would happen in my brain.
Okay.
When we're talking about seasoning, I think about all the different steps that come with seasoning something. But I hear you that most of the time when something lands on the table, somebody's not going to ask, can I have some more lemon zest or
rosemary.
Can you hand me some more rosemary? You're just going to add salt because what salt does is enhance any flavor. That's why we put it in everything.
So it's a magnifier.
Yep.
How much sugar do you use in cooking?
I don't use a ton, but I use it. And I think, especially if I'm doing anything Asian based, a lot of times to balance the heat and acidity that you're using in those sauces, the balance there is sugar. And a lot of our love for processed food is because it has sugar in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is, like, if I'm making, again, anything with high acidity, so a chili or tomato sauce or something like that, I'm finding a way to either blatantly put sugar in it by using maple syrup, molasses, brown sugar, things like that. Or I'm caramelizing the vegetables to bring out their sugars. And that's another way to add sweetener.
Nice. Okay. So let's continue this backwards hunt thing.
Okay.
We're going to have to bounce around a little bit, but you're saying to put salt on like 12, 18, 24 hours beforehand and let it sit in the fridge?
Yeah.
When are you pulling it out of the fridge to start coming up to like a room temp?
So
Which it never comes up to room temp.
But that's the goal. You want it to be all the way internally to room temp. And this freaks people out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that we learned more about how to be scared of our food than we did about how to enjoy our food.
Mm.
And so we're sure. And I mean, I went to culinary school, right? And I worked in kitchens, and it's a big deal to make sure that your food's safe.
You're a card carrying chef.
I am, yeah. But at the same time, the risk is a lot lower than we perceive. And especially when it's meat or vegetables that you grew or harvested. Because if you think about how long it took for that Walmart banana to get to you and the things and conditions that it went through, then the bacteria had a big head start there.
Mm-hmm.
So it maybe does just need the right conditions to grow. Same as meat. But when we're talking about meat that, you know, came right out of your pasture and into a freezer and then out, it doesn't have the same room for bacteria to grow. So my point being, room temp is okay.
Yeah.
Right.
In the same vein, I got to bring something up. The meat handling for a lot of wild game is absolutely atrocious.
That's fair.
Some of it is really, really gnarly. But even in the best of cases, it's not. We're not processing wild game in a way that would pass any USDA inspection.
True.
Right.
Not at all.
Actually, not at all. I don't hear about anybody getting sick from eating deer or elk.
I wonder sometimes too if you wouldn't even blame the deer or elk if you got a stomach ache after eating that kind of a meal. You're more likely to say, my stomach's a little upset because I drank scotch with that or something. But I think that our guts are more sensitive now because we don't eat meat that has good levels of bacteria in it.
True. But like I'm talking about like getting sick. Like,
getting sick.
We just don't hear about that. And these are animals that have been shot, that maybe took a while to die, depending on where they were hit or whether it was with an arrow or a bullet or whatever. It got hair on the meat. It got dirt on the meat. It wasn't cooled down instantly. It wasn't washed off with acetic acid instantly. It didn't go through all these processes that all of this domestic meat is going through, and yet people are not getting sick from it.
True.
It's very, very interesting. So that just goes back into that like fear thing. Like what are we actually afraid of here? Anyways, okay. So we're setting it out. Back to the basics. When are you pulling it out of the fridge?
2 hours.
2 hours.
Yeah.
2 hours
I mean,
enough.
depending on the thickness of meat, right? So I wish I had a good ratio of like this many pounds, this many hours. I don't have that off the top of my head. I will say things that don't always go to plan, and you can always pop something back in the refrigerator if you're like, okay, that's getting warm. You don't want it warm, but you want it ideally to come all the way up to room temp.
I need to try this and like pull some backstrap out that's been salted in the fridge for 24 hours and then temp it and see how that temperature is rising in a 68, 69 degree environment. Because I have a feeling it's still like in the middle. It's still probably 45 degrees after 2 hours.
Yeah, I would think so.
That's what I mean by like it's never coming up to room temp. And if it has, it's been sitting out there for
quite a while.
Too long.
Yeah.
Dare I say.
Yeah, I would agree. But you do want, it would be interesting to know, and it'd be good to have that ratio of time and temp to know, depending on, because I would also think that the amount of marbling has an effect on that.
Yeah.
Because fat comes up to temperature quicker than the meat does.
Yeah, because it doesn't have as much water in it.
True.
Like it's lipids.
Yeah. And again, it depends on what you want your end process to, or your end product to be. When I'm cooking steaks, I like that whole steak almost to come to room temperature so that the inside isn't so extremely rare and I can just get a nice sear on the outside and not have to keep cooking it to get that medium rare on the inside. So that's the reasoning. What
we don't want to do is pull it straight out of the fridge and put it in a hot pan or hot grill or something like that. So that meat's pretty tense. Like
it is.
It's tight.
Yep. Yeah. I think if you think of meat as muscles, you instinctively know what those are going to feel like, right? You're really cold. You're like shocked. You're all those things that happens. I mean, not in the same way, obviously, but that muscle is still acting in that way.
Okay. When are you putting in all of your fancy flavored stuff?
Yeah, so I do still marinade things. You know, I have some go-to marinades. So if that's what I did on like a flank steak or something like that, great. If it's on a flank steak, that's a super thin cut of meat that I'm just going to sear. And so a lot of times that's a good time to use sugar and spices and acidity and things like that. Otherwise, if it's a thicker cut of meat like a steak and I'm doing that inside on a pan, I am putting that steak down first in the pan, just a little bit of oil, and then I'm adding things. So I'm adding butter and aromatics at that time, and then I'm basting that steak. So I'm taking spoonfuls of that infused fat and pouring it over the top of the meat.
Which you wouldn't necessarily want to be doing with game meat, because game meat fat, not good.
No, but you're adding a different kind of fat. So you're adding a butter or you're adding an olive oil to that pan to use.
Also, animal fats.
Yeah.
Like
tallow or lard or
yeah.
So good.
So good.
Duck fat.
And that stuff is honestly not that expensive to buy, lasts a long time. And it's wonderful, especially on game birds. Like if you're taking some beef, I guess it would be beef is tallow, right?
Yeah.
Even after it's rendered, or is it lard? Whatever.
Tallow. Yeah.
Beef fat. Man, put a spoonful of that in your cast iron before you throw that game bird in, and that stuff is magic.
Yeah. Why is there such a large difference in ducks, especially, and geese with farm raised and wild? I mean, there's no fat on wild ducks and geese, and there's the most fat on farm raised.
Lifestyle, same as humans. So
the flying.
Yep. The flying. And like flying huge distances at massive altitudes.
Right.
Like some of these birds are migrating at like 20,000 feet or something crazy like that.
Wow.
And traveling massive distances, right? Like Canada to Mexico. So they're earning it, working really hard. I will say that some of these like Canadian mallards that come down will have a good amount of fat underneath their skin, but it's never going to be intermuscular.
Right.
And but these farm raised animals, they're not moving around. They're not earning a living. Yeah.
And you can always see that on any animal, farm raised versus wild. I think it's the most pronounced in game birds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And even like these upland birds that don't have a really strenuous life, you know, like a grouse, for example, like it's got a fairly small home range. It's not doing a lot of long distance flying. It's
right.
But that's still a really lean animal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grouse, I think, is difficult to do well, but if you nail it, that's a pretty tasty game bird.
Yeah. I don't guess I've cooked a lot of grouse. Especially not wild, but lots of mustard.
Mustard. Another acid.
Because
of the vinegar.
Yeah. So flavorful, though.
Some of these marinades, we talk about it tenderizing meat.
Mm-hmm.
And things that come up are like Worcestershire sauce.
Mm-hmm.
What are some other things that you can put into a marinade that will actually tenderize meat?
That's again where you're looking for acid, but you want a long contact with the acid. So lime, lemon, vinegars, soy sauce is a great tenderizer. You can mess around with baking soda, putting some baking soda in. That works really well on beans. When you soak beans, you can add baking soda and that'll make a more tender inside of a bean. Coffee.
Yeah.
is tenderizing for meat.
Coffee slept on as a spice.
Definitely. Coffee is one of those things that you can add when you are like, I don't know what this needs, but it needs like a kick, an umami, if you will.
Another one that you don't want to burn.
You don't want to burn it. You can add it as a liquid. I see a lot of dry rubs with coffee in it, and I think that's not necessarily what you need, but you can. But you want it to be pretty fine.
So if you're adding it as a liquid, are you like making a cup of coffee, or are you taking coffee grounds and hydrating them?
I think you could do either, but I'm just pouring off of my coffee pot.
Okay.
I add a quarter cup of coffee to a lot of things, a lot of sauces, a lot of, you can put it in a spaghetti sauce. You can put it in chili. You can put it in cakes. Just, not a lot, but a little.
One of my favorite things to do if I'm cooking a piece of backstrap, which I'm never cutting backstrap steaks. I'm taking a chunk of backstrap, cooking that all together, whether it's on the grill or on cast iron, and then I'm slicing it to serve it at the end, because moisture is really precious inside that environment, and it's tricky, extremely tricky to actually cut it into a steak and get it cooked correctly. Usually you'll end up with like big, well done pieces on either side of it, and then a rare piece in the middle, and it's just kind of a weird. I don't think it's the way. But if you have your backstrap that's, really nicely seasoned, and you cook it in a cast iron pan, and then pull it out, and then while it's resting, make a quick peppercorn sauce. It's so good and so easy, and it feels decadent and fancy and elevated. Talk me through how to do that for people, because I think as a hunter, like that's just one that seems really fancy and awesome, but is just not that hard to do.
Yeah, I would agree. I think two important things to say, and then I can just walk through a recipe, but is that I feel like we should all know this by now, but I don't think we do yet. Searing does not lock in moisture. Searing is for flavor.
Okay.
So a lot of times people will sear a piece of meat, and then they act like they can do anything they want with that meat and it'll still be moist and tender, and it's not true. Searing is for flavor. So that's why you sear meat before you braise it, is to get that flavor. So sometimes that flavor is going to stay in the pan, right? The burnt pieces, those crispy pieces, is going to stay in that pan. And so that's why you make a pan sauce in the same pan. Resting your meat is really, really important. You want to rest your meat for half the time that it was cooking. And so the other benefit of doing a pan sauce is it forces that to happen, right?
So for me to take a piece of elk backstrap and cook it relatively hot, say like a medium high heat, I'm usually about 12 minutes into bringing it up to that 125 degree mark, which is where I'm pulling it off, because that temperature is going to continue to rise as it rests, just because we're balancing that high heat that's on the outside with the low heat that's on the inside. So 125 is where I'm pulling it off. It's usually taking me 11 or 12 minutes. So now I've got 6 minutes for it to rest. And during that 6 minute time, what do I get to do?
So during that 6 minute window, you keep that pan hot. A lot of times home cooks are scared of high heat. Don't be. So keep that pan hot and add a liquid. Red wine is great. You can also use stock, just a beef stock, a vegetable stock, whatever you want. But you need to add that to the pan while it's still hot. And what that's going to do is and then you take a wooden spoon, especially if you're using cast iron, take a wooden spoon and scrape up all those little bits on the bottom of the pan. And this is assuming that you put aromatics into the pan while you were cooking that backstrap.
Aromatics being like Thyme, rosemary,
and garlic. Yep. And so then you're going to reduce that liquid. And reducing is just simmering it, letting that steam come out of it and evaporate. And that's going to make that liquid less and less.
So are we reducing our heat in order to reduce the sauce?
Yeah.
Or are we staying medium high?
You want to stay medium high. You don't want it to boil. So watch the size of your bubbles. You want your bubbles to stay dime sized or less.
Okay.
They start getting bigger than that, turn down your heat. Let that reduce. Add your peppercorns. I always recommend either you can cut them up with a knife, smash them with a rock, use a mortar and pestle. Don't just throw them in whole. Break them up. Doesn't have to be perfectly, doesn't have to be finely ground. Just break those up and throw them in. While that sauce is simmering, you want your liquid to at least reduce by half. So pay attention to where it is on the side of the pan when you pour it in. When it's halfway less than that, add cold butter.
Cold butter.
Cold butter in squares, cut it up.
Mm-hmm.
Add cold butter and constantly move it around while that butter melts. You can take it off the heat at that point, move that butter around. It's going to end up a shiny, beautiful, delicious sauce. Always pull the stems of your herbs out. If it's rosemary, I like to pull it all the way out. And then pour that over the top of your meat or on the bottom. I like to serve sauce on the bottom of things because I like to give that crust on the top the best chance at staying crispy.
Yeah. And while it's resting, that sear, even if it's a really hard, barky sear, is going to be rehydrating.
Yep.
I like sauce on the bottom too, also from like a color perspective.
Yeah.
Like if you've got like that dark sear on the outside and then that nice bright red of a properly cooked piece of wild game, and then you've got, this creamy sauce on the bottom that's got, the peppercorns in it and stuff like that. Pretty good.
It's pretty good. I think.
And it's just not that hard. Like that wasn't that many steps, right?
No.
So we throw in our red wine, take the wooden spoon, scrape the bits up, and then, can you add aromatics at that point if you want to?
You can. If you add them at that point, I definitely recommend pulling them out before you sauce your meat. Mm-hmm. Because they're going to be a little bit bitter and tart, especially like garlic or things like that.
I just use milk a lot of times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like because this is deglazing, right? When we add that liquid. So I've got all my crispy, crunchy stuff that's left over from the meat. I'll throw some milk in there and then start scraping it up with my wooden spoon.
You can also add, milk is great. I mean, that's like making a gravy, right?
And I'm for sure adding butter as well.
Yep. Also hitting sauces with a little bit of heavy cream or milk at the end is always just going to make it more velvety. Sometimes with a red wine sauce, if you add too much cream at the end, pink is never a good sauce color.
Right.
It just, it's a hard one to not think of Pepto-Bismol or something that's gross. Just, you don't want to see a pink sauce with meat.
Yeah.
Hardly ever.
And then visually, it's not contrasting correctly.
Yeah.
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 So I want to talk about plating as well, because we're kind of getting there with like, where does the sauce go? Moving this hunt backwards, when you put that food in front of somebody, the way that they look at it has a lot to do with the way it's going to taste. Mm-hmm. And as a guy who really abhors aesthetics in a lot of ways, I have to admit that this is true. Like if something is beautifully plated, then I instantly am ready for it to taste good.
Yeah. I think this is such a cool opportunity when you're thinking through your hunt. I think maybe one of the parts that we missed about what you think about in that hunting is telling the story later. I mean, that's part of the thrill, right? It's the retelling of this hunting story. And that's how I see food. When I'm serving food to people, I really want to know what their evening is about and what story they're trying to tell. And if you have an animal, especially if it's something that you killed and harvested yourself, you have such a cool opportunity there to tell the story. And so I would think through ingredients even of what you were surrounded by. So when we talk about coffee or whiskey or juniper berries or peppercorn, all of those things could come together to really, I mean, it's a sensual experience.
Yeah.
Eating is.
And if it grows together, it goes together.
If it goes together, it goes together. But then you put this plate down, and you want it to look beautiful. The things that I pay attention to, I'm not a tweezer type of plater. So I don't do what you're going to see in a Michelin star restaurant where that plate, the more beautiful your plate looks, a lot of times the more time and hands it had on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I want it to look almost like it could have grown out of that plate or fell from the sky onto that plate. I want it to look really natural and then clean. So my aesthetics, I always wipe the edge of my plate. I don't like, those restaurants where they just parsley is all over the edge of the plate. Like they just like confettied it. Man, that does something bad to my spine.
Mm-hmm.
But I think taking a second to wipe up sauce strips and things on the edge of your plate, maybe that just got really stuck in my head from French chefs. Yeah. But I do.
Because they would beat you.
Oh, man. Yeah. They're mean. But then, just making it look on purpose and yet very organically done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I don't know how actionable that is, but maybe people are understanding or starting to get a picture in their minds of how to do this.
Yeah. Sorry.
Are there basics like meat at 6 o'clock or 12 o'clock? How many items should you put on an entree plate?
Yeah. So if you're plating your meat, I like to serve my food family style. So a lot of times I'm thinking about what the platter of one ingredient on a plate is going to look like. And by one ingredient, I mean that entree is all going to be on one platter. When I'm plating the entire meal or the entire entree on a plate, then it's a lot about textures. So it's keeping your textures intact and what you want to be touching each other and what you don't. So if meat is well rested, it won't bleed out once it goes onto a plate. And so you want to put that on top of your starch. So you go starch down first.
Like a tater?
Like a tater. Then meat on top of that. And then your vegetable is hopefully a contrasting color. And it would go on the side. And your sauce can go either under or along the other side, opposite your vegetable. I don't know. There's probably rules about all this, but I think paying attention to the textures of things and the colors of things. So a lot of times I like putting herbs that are fried on top of things or nuts as a finishing. And I want those to stay crispy. So I'm never going to put those down where steam can get to them on the bottom.
And odd numbers look better.
Yeah. Odd numbers look better. I like things that are asymmetrical. I don't like when things are perfect or that they look the same on both sides.
Right.
Whatever that is.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about engineering versus art.
Yeah.
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 How many states have you visited this year for private chef gigs?
Oh, man.
Half a dozen?
Yeah. At least maybe 10.
if people want to get a hold of you to have you come do a private chef thing, like what do they expect, and what do you give them?
Yeah. So basically, the difference between a private chef and a caterer is that catering is for one event and you show up and feed the masses. And typically they're going to have a set menu. They're going to offer you, this is what we can give you. They show up for that thing and they leave. A private chef is essentially just having somebody in your kitchen. So if I am doing a one night thing, which I've done for just a couple on a date night, and I've done for large family get-togethers or parties, I'm going to show up at your kitchen with all my ingredients, all the things that I need to make that evening happen, but I'm going to use your kitchen. So I use your kitchen, I make you a multi-course meal, I clean your kitchen, and I bounce. Otherwise, if it's a longer stay, which a lot of times these out-of-state gigs are, and I really enjoy these. I like when it's a week long or a weekend. And essentially, I'm just in your kitchen and I'm making you 3 meals a day. And I will take care of all of those needs, everything from, the grocery shopping to the prep to the cleanup to the serving, ensuring people have what they need, whether that's another cup of coffee, a snack in between, reheating some leftovers, or sitting down in the evening and having a multi-course meal.
Nice.
Yeah.
And people have enjoyed this.
I believe that people have enjoyed this. I have greatly enjoyed this. And I think that anybody who's doing everything themselves in business, one of the bigger challenges is promoting yourself.
Yeah.
And doing the logistics and the customer service initially part. And I'm still working on that, even in describing what I'm offering. Especially in a small town, this is newer for a lot of people, to think about hiring a private chef if you're on vacation or you have family coming into town or something like that. You don't have to order pizza.
Yeah. There's another way.
Yeah.
And you're using local stuff.
I am. So my favorite part, honestly, of this whole thing is calling up farmers and just saying, what do you got right now? And that's how I plan my menus. So I don't know what I'm going to cook until I get a hold of local farmers. And if I'm in an area where I don't have people's numbers, I obviously can use Google. I find farmers markets and I find grocery stores that are carrying those local products, and I start there. And then I look at those ingredients that I am able to gather, and then I try to make them all fit together as a cohesive meal.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It allows me to keep being creative and keep being able to tell a story with a plate of food.
And, back to hunters, like, this is the fundamental.
Yeah.
Hunting is many, many things, but fundamentally, it's about this part.
Yeah. It's not always, right? I mean, you have to acknowledge that a lot of hunters are not hunting just to grocery shop.
Not exclusively. And that's what I mean. It's like, it's many things, and it's going to be different to every single person. And it's going to change throughout their hunting career. But if we're talking about like what hunting is and what it has been for the last, couple million years.
Yeah.
It's a method of bringing food home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think the more you understand about that animal's conformation and about the different muscle groups, the better your experience is going to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The eating experience, faux show.
Mm-hmm.
How's your bookings looking for 2026?
They're looking good.
Do you still have openings?
I do have openings, especially in the spring and in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
This summer, I want to do a lot more things at home. So I also am hosting a supper club, which this year you'll be able to buy tickets to.
Nice.
So those will happen on the ranch and then inside of local businesses.
Yeah.
So that's an opportunity outside of your home to just come sit at a long table and share a meal with other people in your community.
Nice. Well, hopefully you can get some jobs, maybe at like some turkey camps or something like that this spring.
Yeah, I would love that. And I do I've really enjoyed. I got to go to the Midwest and cook for some bird hunters. I got to cook at the lodge with elk hunting this fall. I really do like those gigs. I think that people, as we're talking about hunters, they appreciate their food. And it's a good time to have conversations about food when you're hunting. So
how do people get a hold of you if they want to book you?
The best way to get a hold of me is email. I'm the most responsive in email, which is Adele, Adele, at 6ranch, the number 6ranch.com. I have a website too. It's 6ranchsupperclub.com. There's a contact form there, and all of my contact information is there.
Yeah. And it's always the number 6, not spelled out.
That's right. Always the number 6. There's social media, DMs are effective as well. And again, that's 6 Ranch Supper Club. So the 6 Ranch is a big umbrella. We're doing a lot of things.
So many things.
But 6ranch.com is always a good bet to get you started and send you in whichever hunting, fishing, cooking, ranching, beefing direction you want to find out about.
Yeah. No, I mean, the number of requests that we get through 6 Ranch, like it spans the gamut. But I mean, humbly, there's a lot of talent within the family, and we work hard in a lot of different ways to try and offer that as a value to people.
Yeah. We care a lot, and I feel really grateful that we've gotten to creatively make a living in this life and still tending to the land first.
Often outskilled, seldom outworked.
That's right.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, Adele. Appreciate it. Folks, if you have some kind of event, whether it's for a lot of people or a handful of people, and you don't feel like cooking yourself and you want it to be good, get a hold of my little sister.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you to everyone who has taken the time out of their busy lives to write a review for the show and share it with their friends. I'm extremely proud of how intelligent, engaged, and adventurous this audience is. Original music for the 6 Ranch podcast is written and performed by Justin Hay. Art for the 6 Ranch podcast was created by John Chatelain and digitized by Celia Harlander. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again next week.